Morning, Creek Nations. Coach Abell here for your video announcements for this week. Should be much quicker, not as much information to go through, but still important stuff. So let's get to it. Schedule for this week. We are same as we have been. We're Monday through Friday from 6 to 7:30 for session 1, 7 to 8:30 for session 2. Although everything's still applying. We are going to practice on Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. That's for everyone. We let guys know about this last week. We had canceled this past Saturday for weather purposes. Mother Nature strikes again, and we lost out on the day. But as a reminder of why we're trying to go on Saturdays outside of us just generally getting ready for a football game, it's for that acclimatization period. A lot of our guys are going to need that extra day so they can meet their required amounts of days. Now that we are in full swing and we're getting into the habit of these things, practice is now mandatory. So when guys are no longer or guys are missing practice, that will eventually result into penalties for them, whether that's suspension or limited playing time, or eventually just not even dressing the 60-man roster that we've talked about it several times before. Okay. Changes for next week. Everybody starting on Tuesday of next week is 6 to 8 o'clock. That's for everybody. Next week, we get to put on full gear and actually start practice, for games. But with Monday being Labor Day, obviously nothing is happening on Labor Day. Okay. Obviously, I've been asked to say this, so I will. Guys, Churchill Downs, Derby, Oaks, Derby Day, these are like sacred holidays in the Abell household. So it pains me that I'm going to be sitting at home watching it from my TV, that I won't be able to be at Churchill Downs, and that I won't be able to be at a party. But we are being asked as coaches to remind you all as families and our players that even though it's a weekend, even though it's a holiday weekend, even though it's a big weekend in the state of Kentucky, that we do our best to refrain from violating any of those recommendations set forth by the CDC and the governor. Okay. Again, like I said, I'm going to be sitting my fat butt on the couch and watching races from home. It sucks, but it's necessary. I feel like I need to do that so that I can, hopefully prolong this season as long as possible. Okay. Here's the updated calendar to reflect those practice change times. This will be sent again to you guys. I know many of you all looked at it last week. I'll send it out again so you guys have it. And I'm also working on printed copies so some of our players can take these to their bosses and their supervisors. Okay. Here's October. I don't know if that was included in last week's presentation or not, but here it is. Okay. It says senior nights with in late October. Obviously, with the uncertainties of COVID-19, we're probably going to move that up. I don't know that it's going to be, the 30th. It's still something Mr. Troy Johnson and I've got to talk about, but I want to let you know that we're working on that. Okay. Updates for the KSSA. They sent a 42-page document out to us as coaches last week. Myself and AD Johnson looked through the entire document. I've given that document to coaches to look at. Guys, I'll be honest, most of this stuff we already knew. Okay, a lot of this stuff, it's just put into a real fancy form. That way it can be approved by the State Department. There's a lot of obvious things in here that COVID obvious, not common sense, regular stuff, but things that you all have heard a bunch on the news and in the media about how to handle COVID-19 things. If you feel free to pop on at kssa.org and take a look at it if you'd like to, if you're bored and you got 4 hours to do some reading. But keep in mind that these are things that we already know that we're preparing for. Some things that I think are specific to you guys as parents and players are as follows. Mouthpieces, they gotta stay in their mouth. Okay. They have to stay on the helmet. I am trying to reach out to the State Department, the State Association, to see if these game on mouthpieces would work. These are really, really good because they stay fitted into the mouth, and it's very easy to talk, and it stays in there. It's almost like a retainer in a way. Those would be good for those of you who feel that are going to ask your sons to wear gaiters during the contest. It's going to be hard to wear a gaiter with your mouthpiece attached to the helmet. So these are questions we've asked. It's not required to wear a gaiter, during the game. Okay, but some parents feel the need to require that from their sons, and I completely understand why. It is required to have masks on the sidelines, as opposed to having the mask that go around the ears and come across. I think everybody, all the high school games that I watched this weekend, players had gaiters on, and then they would just pull the gaiters down around their neck as they were playing. They're not choking hazards. These things it's cloth, so it should be okay. But that's just something that's a decision between you and your sons on what you want to do. You guys know water is provided by you guys. They need their own water source. It needs to be marked and labeled almost like it was back in your Little League football days. For games, we've already contacted Kroger. We're probably going to ask some of you guys to help us out a little bit. But we need those small little 8-ounce water bottles. Those are going to be what we use for timeouts and water breaks and so forth and so on. Okay, they'll still have their own personal water source on the sidelines that they use, but those little water bottles we would have to use in game. There is going to be a fan limitation, but the best part about it for us is that our stadium is still relatively large, that we can still, encompass quite a few people, even though we've been given a 20% limitation. 20% for us would be about 500 people. With no school in session, I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of students showing up to these games, and that's okay by me. There is going to be an online ticket ordering, at least that's in the works. But that's just some things for you to think about. I included a picture from up here. This was in, I think, Indiana this past week. You notice how these people are all spread out. Guys, that's how it's going to have to be. Obviously, our stadium is not that big, but we probably don't have a school of that size either. But this is important for you guys to see. This is going to be the expectation, that plus the mask. All right. Please don't do what you might have seen Alabama and Texas doing in their high school football games. They don't really care about this virus at all. And I don't think their state associations are going to shut them down. The state of Kentucky will shut us down if we're not doing these things correctly. So let's make sure that we're being responsible and that we're being considerate and we're doing things for the good of the group, not just for ourselves. Point about family limitation: if you, family member, someone wants to watch your sons and grandsons play, but you don't feel comfortable because of COVID, we are working on the NFHS streaming site. That's hopefully something we can get up and rolling. I don't know if it'll cost anything. Normally, it's an annual subscription fee, but it's not very much. I pay for it every December so I can watch the state championship games from home. I'll send out more information about that in the upcoming days. Lastly, a note here, kind of some bad news for the 3 or 4 of you guys that order those helmet shields, those little COVID shields or whatever. I spoke with this company back in May when we felt like this might be a thing. In May, they told me they were very accommodating. Hey, we'll get you what you need. These things work for almost all the helmets. They're universal, et cetera, et cetera. But since this stuff is so brand new, I think these guys were just trying to make a quick dime and weren't really honest and forthcoming. I called to order those 4 so we can get them here by the first game. They're not going to be here by the first game. They weren't going to be here until October. And so I cussed some people out and got redirected. And the guy on the phone told me, hey, just tell your parents to get on Amazon and order them directly from them. Okay. It'll get to your house quicker than it's going to get to us, mainly because this company expected me to order enough for a full team, and that's just not feasible. We don't have that in the budget. So for those of you guys that ordered one, you'll get a refund. I'm going to get with our bookkeeper, get you guys a check written for $25 to come back, and I do apologize for that. All right, last couple reminders: weather plans. If severe weather hits, just like it kind of did last week, we've got places indoors. It might make you nervous, and I understand why, but masks are on. Every coach is in a room. We made sure masks were on, and we spaced them out throughout the entire facility. We put them in restrooms. We put them in the concession stand. We put them in laundry rooms. We spread them out to make sure that we are following the CDC guidelines. And then when they left, we sanitized the entire thing. Okay. What I will, again, remind you guys and ask you guys is if we do cancel ahead of time, that you protect that time. Nothing else happens during that 6 to 8 o'clock hour. So if we cancel sometime next week because we know storms are coming, hopefully you guys can let these guys do their thing and still do football. That is going to be counted as a practice. It's a virtual practice, but it's a practice, so they need to be in attendance so that we know, so they know what's going on for the week. Physicals and waivers, man, we are real close from getting all these things in. I appreciate that from you guys. You guys have been awesome about it. I'm very proud that we're real close from getting this stuff done. And the best part is, not many of our physicals have lapsed, so our guys haven't missed any practice time. This is good. Player fee, same thing. Great, awesome. I'm very excited that you guys are real close from getting all this done and in. All this stuff was ordered last week, so that stuff will hopefully be in before our first contest against Ballard. But I'm excited about it. So please make sure that you're getting on the Creek www.creekfootballstore.weebly.com. Order your son's stuff there, or order your son's player fee, and tell the rest be that. Okay. Lastly, NTI 2.0. I'm sure you guys saw in the news, we had some issues, not just Fern Creek, but schools in Jefferson County. Matter of fact, Central had an issue that was just, holy cow, it was ridiculous. All that's been taken care of. We should now be getting in the swing of things. Make sure you're staying on top of your sons about the synchronous versus asynchronous time. As a reminder, synchronous time is from that 9 to about 12:30 block. And then after that, they're free to start working on whatever they want to work on. Okay. If you got any questions about that stuff, give me a call. We're around. Miss Meredith has been more than forthcoming to help and offer her help to your son. So take advantage of those resources where they're at. Guys, that's all that I got for you. Hope is greater than fear. We'll see you guys this week. Coach Abell out.